When you're going through a divorce, one of the biggest, most stressful parts is figuring out the house. But before you can even start to decide who gets what, you have to answer a huge question. What is it actually worth? Today, we're going to break down who gets to pick the expert that answers that very important question.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. Who picks the appraiser? It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer can literally set the tone for your entire negotiation. You get this part right, and things can go a lot smoother. But if you get it wrong, well, you could be heading for a really costly and stressful fight.
Before we dive into all the different scenarios, let's just start with the absolute best-case scenario, the gold standard. If you're going to aim for one thing, it's this: finding a single, neutral, qualified expert that you and your spouse both agree to hire. Seriously, this one move can lay the foundation for a much fairer and frankly less painful process.
But of course, let's be realistic. Agreeing on things isn't always easy during a divorce. So, in the real world, this usually plays out in one of three ways. Understanding these different paths is really going to help you figure out the best strategy for your own situation.
So basically, you've got three options on the table. You can work together and agree on one joint appraiser. You can each go out and hire your own expert to try and build your case. Or, if you're just at a total stalemate, the court can step in and appoint one for you. Let's break down what each of those choices really means.
So, path number one, agreeing on a joint appraiser. Honestly, this is by far the most efficient way to go. It's super common in mediated divorces because right off the bat, you're splitting a single fee, which saves a ton of money. But you know what the biggest win is? You completely avoid the whole battle of the experts and all the stress that comes with two competing valuations.
But what happens when things are a bit more contentious? Well, that brings us to path number two, where each of you hires your own appraiser. Now, it might feel like you're getting an expert in your corner, but this strategy almost always leads to two different values. And then what? It's left up to a judge to decide who's more believable. And sometimes they might just order a third appraisal, costing everyone even more time and money.
So what if you've hit a complete wall? You just cannot agree. That's where path 3 comes in. The court steps up and appoints an appraiser. Now, the crucial thing to understand here is that this person doesn't work for you, and they don't work for your spouse. They work for the court as an independent expert. And yep, you'll both likely be splitting the bill.
Okay, so those are the paths you can take. But what are the actual experts? You know, the lawyers and appraisers who deal with these cases day in and day out? What did they say is the best practice? Let's take a look at it from their perspective. This right here, this quote gets to the absolute core of the profession. An appraiser's job is not to be an advocate. They aren't there to fight for a higher number or a lower number to help one side win. Their ethical duty is to find a defensible, fair market value based on objective data. Ultimately, their loyalty is to the facts, not to the person who hired them.
And this is where a good attorney can be a real game changer. They often have a network of trusted appraisers who have experience in divorce cases, people they know are credible and, most importantly, neutral. Their goal is to find an expert whose work will be respected by the other side and will hold up under a judge's scrutiny.
All right, so let's say you do end up with two competing reports. A judge has to make the final call. So how do they choose? What are they really looking for when they have two different values sitting in front of them?
Okay, listen up, because this is what you absolutely need to understand about how a judge thinks. They focus on the quality and credibility of the report itself. Is the appraiser truly independent? Are they certified? Are they following professional standards like USPAP? Is their final number backed up by solid data? You know what matters a whole lot less? Which spouse actually hired them. A credible, well-supported, neutral report will almost always win the day over a biased one.
Okay, we've gone over a lot of information. Let's put it all together into a clear action plan. What's your best move for getting a fair outcome without all the unnecessary drama?
So here's the bottom line. Your first and best option is to try and jointly select one certified appraiser who has experience with divorce cases. If you do that, agree in writing that you'll both treat them as a neutral expert. And if you just can't agree, well, just be prepared for the court to decide. But always, always remember, at the end of the day, the most credible, well-supported valuation is the one that's going to win.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? In the whole process of dividing up physical assets like a house, could it be that your most valuable asset is actually cooperation? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.